Hi, Shell Point. I'm Dottie Tronis, volunteer coordinator. And recently, you've seen some interviews I've done with the past presidents of the Larson Pavilion Auxiliary and the current president, Ann Erickson. And today I'm joined by Jan Bowd, who is a chairperson of one of our committees in the auxiliary. So welcome, Jan.
Thank you, Dottie. Thank you for having me come.
Yes, we finally got together.
We did.
We've been talking about this for a long time.
We have. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad to be here with you. So you are the chairperson for Connected Friends, our second floor auxiliary committee. And just tell me a little bit about how, I don't think I know how you got started at the Pavilion Auxiliary.
Well, actually, it started long before I ever got here because about the year 2000, my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And that became a part of my life. And although I didn't give him the day-to-day care that my mom and my sister did, it really changed our lives. And it was a tough time for all of us. In 2010, when he passed away, I was working at a hospital system in West Tennessee. And we really didn't have a support group for the community for that. So a friend of mine who'd been through something similar got with me, and the two of us started a support group for the community. Then we started an educational program for the community that has been growing and growing every year for 10 years. And it was so much a part of my life. And it was something that I was very passionate about. And I'll be honest, when I left Tennessee, one of the hardest things to leave was that group of folks that met once a month.
Wow.
And I wondered, what's going to replace it? Little did I know when I got here that there would be such a great opportunity. So Peter Nanfeld talked to me one day and said, how would you like to volunteer on the second floor? And of course, that was like music to my ears.
Wow.
So I started volunteering, and then a year later he asked if I would like to chair the committee, and I've been doing that now for about 3 years. Love it. It's been a great opportunity to give back and to help those that are residents here that maybe are sometimes forgotten. And so it's a really wonderful opportunity, and so often I find when I leave, I'm the one that was blessed.
Right. I hear that a lot from auxiliary members in various jobs in the pavilion. I think that those folks, it does take special people to do that, but a little bit of training and a little bit of explanation I think sometimes is very helpful. I know you and I have talked about when we have a new volunteer that might be interested, you've been so good about giving them a tour and letting them really see the second floor, because it's okay if they decide that that's not the place for them to volunteer, but sometimes you get people up there and they love it.
Yeah.
And you've got a nice group of volunteers, a good number, but we need more.
Yes, we do. Yeah. We actually have 17, which sounds like a lot, but it's a very intense program because we try to spend 2 hours a week with the residents. And what we're trying to do is let each resident know that they are loved and that they're valued. And we do that in 2 ways. Primarily, we do it through spending time one-on-one with them, engaging in them in conversation, maybe an activity, maybe just going for a stroll in the wheelchair down the hallways. It doesn't really matter, it's just that one-on-one. And then also occasionally we get an opportunity to help the staff. There'll be some activities that maybe they need some additional help with, or we can encourage someone who we've been talking with to get involved in an activity. So there's lots of ways to do it.
Sure.
And what I love is no 2 days are the same.
Never.
You never know when you get there what the day is going to unfold like.
And sometimes when the activity folks are doing something, maybe somebody with a memory problem won't stay unless they have somebody sitting next to them. And
That's
so
right.
You can be that buddy to kind of sit there while they're doing an exercise class or maybe a craft class or anything that they just would feel compelled not to be part of the group, but you're right there next to them. So there's a lot of different things I think that people could do with your committee and find a niche.
Absolutely, and it depends on you and it depends on the person. You know, there's some days when you work with them in an activity, other days you walk the halls with them and talk to them. Some days you sit by their bedside, hold their hand and talk to them or sing to them. Sometimes they're not even awake, but we never know what they're hearing.
Exactly.
And so it's important that we still spend time with them. I know one of the things that has stayed with me all this time is an encounter I had with one woman who was just precious, and I knew she was a musician. And so, although she didn't communicate, I could push her in the wheelchair and I would sing to her. And as I sang to her, after about 2 or 3 minutes, all of a sudden her hand would start tapping the rhythm on the arm of the wheelchair. And it was like, oh, I'm connecting. And
You are,
And that's, I mean, that's what makes it so worth
And
it.
music is always such a good, and you don't have to be a good singer. I can't
no.
sing well, but I've sang many a times to residents in a nursing home in a previous job, and they made me feel like an opera singer, which is amazing.
That's right.
But you don't have to be particularly talented to reach those folks, and it's just sometimes just the simple things. Sometimes people might be laying there with their eyes closed and they really are awake, and so they're just tired and they're kind of in their little world, but talking with them, putting some lotion on their hands, singing a song, or even playing some music is a wonderful thing. So I think that we should have some more folks join your committee.
We could use a few more. That would be great.
So if anybody really has some questions and maybe some more intimate details about what you do, I'm sure you wouldn't mind if they called you. They can always call me, of course, and I would be glad to connect them with you. But like I said, sometimes just taking a tour and getting a feel for making sure, because we want the experience to be wonderful for our volunteers, and if it's wonderful for the volunteer, then they're gonna have a wonderful, the resident's gonna have a wonderful experience that they're serving. So we want it to be a good fit. So
we work at trying to make it a good fit, and I usually try to meet with the person for maybe 30 minutes over a cup of coffee just to tell them more detailed of what we do. And if they're still interested, then I will go through and do an actual training with them, which includes not just going through a training manual that we've developed, but also taking them to the floor, introducing them to some of the residents and watching them see how we interact. And if they're still interested in that, then we welcome them with warm and smiling faces, because that's when we know it's a good fit.
Absolutely, and I know that you are so passionate about this. You're the best person to give somebody a little orientation, much more so than I am. So, but I'm glad to filter people your way. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to be able to do this. And Shell Point, Connected Friends on the second floor of the Larson Pavilion. We have a great committee of folks that are just doing wonderful things, and if this seems like this might be your passion or your place, you can give me a call, you can give Jan Bowd a call. She's in the directory and lives in the estuary, and we would love to have you join us. Thanks so much.